Welcome friends to our exploration of hidden habits that quietly sabotage our potential. Today we'll delve into 7 traits that if left unchecked, can hold us back from true personal growth. These traits are pride, envy, laziness, dishonesty, impulsiveness, stubbornness, and negativity. Often they manifest in subtle ways, yet each has a powerful impact on our lives. They lurk in our daily routines, shaping our decisions and attitudes without us even realizing it. What starts as a passing thought or behavior can evolve into a pattern that chips away at our progress. This isn't about shame, it's about awareness. Because once we can name the problem, we can reclaim the power it's taken from us. So let's bring these silent saboteurs into the light. One by exposing them to the light, we open the door to greater self-mastery and intentional living. Let's begin this journey inward and upward. The first is pride, the silent barrier to growth. Pride isn't just about arrogance or bragging. It sneaks in as the quiet refusal to admit when we're wrong or overwhelmed. For instance, imagine a small business owner struggling to keep their operations afloat. Instead of seeking mentorship or collaborating with peers, they double down, working in isolation, convinced asking for help signals weakness. Over time, missed opportunities pile up and burnout creeps in. Or think about a student who doesn't understand a concept in class but never raises their hand. Pride convinces them it's better to stay silent than appear clueless. But that silence costs them clarity in progress. Pride isn't always arrogance. Sometimes it's the quiet resistance to feedback. The refusal to ask for help. Take away pride tells us you've got this alone. But growth answers you don't have to. Pride must die in you or nothing of heaven can live in you. From the words of Andrew Murray. Number 2 is envy, the quiet underminer. Envy rarely announces itself loudly. Instead, it lingers. During those late night scrolls through social media, a friend posts about getting a scholarship or buying a new car, and suddenly, what once felt like enough begins to shrink. You question your pace, your choices, your value. For example, consider someone who appears online following explode. Rather than feeling inspired, they begin to nitpick that appears every posts, silently critiquing or downplaying their achievements. It doesn't lead to self-improvement. It leads to resentment and stagnation. Or take a co-worker who's been promoted. Instead of asking what can I learn from their success, envy clouds the lens, and subtle sabotage or withdrawal replaces collaboration. But here's the truth. Someone else's rise doesn't mean you'll fall. Envy narrows your focus to their path when yours is still unfolding. Appreciation expands possibilities. Envy shrinks them. Envy makes us focus on someone else's lane instead of accelerating in our own. Envy is ignorance, by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Number 3 is laziness, the quiet delay of destiny. Laziness isn't always doing nothing. Often it's doing anything except what matters most. You say, I'll start when the timing's better. You plan endlessly but never act. Laziness isn't always obvious. It rarely looks like lying around doing nothing. More often it disguises itself as, I'll start tomorrow, or I need more time to plan. It's the invisible drag that makes 10 minutes of scrolling feel more urgent than 10 minutes of action. Take the case of an aspiring writer with a brilliant idea for a book. They buy the perfect notebook, make the perfect playlist, a clear sign, a better mood. Days turn to weeks and the idea collects dust. Not because they aren't capable, but because comfort quietly outranked consistency. Or picture someone who keeps saying, I want to get in shape. They watch fitness videos, follow influencers, and even shop for workout gear. But every day ends with the same excuse. I was just too tired today, maybe tomorrow. The gap between intention and effort widens. Laziness doesn't steal your dreams in one swoop. It delays them with a dozen tiny nut. It's not ability that's missing. It's motion, consistency, energy. Start messy, unexperienced, unprepared, but start in order to keep the momentum going. Laziness may appear attractive, but work gives satisfaction, by and frank. Number 4, dishonesty, The mask that delays growth. Dishonesty isn't always malicious or grand. Sometimes it's the little lies. We tell ourselves I'm fine when we're overwhelmed. I'll do it tomorrow when we know we won't. Or it's not my fault when deep down we suspect it is. It can be a coping mechanism. A way to shield ourselves from discomfort, rejection, or accountability. But every dishonest moment chips away at trust, both from others and from within. Take for example someone who's habitually late for meetings. They blame traffic, poor planning, or even faulty alarms. But the truth is they just don't prioritize punctuality. The dishonesty isn't in the excuses, is in the refusal to acknowledge that they need to take responsibility and change a habit on a deeper level. Dishonesty can manifest as overpromising and underdelivering, whether at work, at school, or even in creative projects. We say yes to impress or avoid judgment, knowing full well we lack the time or intention to follow through it. It becomes a cycle. We appear agreeable in the short term, but we lose respect and often opportunity in the long term. Dishonesty doesn't always scream liar. Sometimes it whispers maybe they won't notice. But growth begins the moment we stop performing for approval and start showing up in truth. Truth doesn't always feel safe, but it always clears the path. The Price of Dishonesty is Self-Destruction by Rita Mae Brown. 5. Impulsiveness. The urge that overrides intention. Impulsiveness isn't just spontaneity. It's when instinct hijacks intention. It's saying yes before thinking, spending before budgeting, which ultimately means prioritize needs over wants, reacting before understanding if your actions will produce the desired or expected outcome. While it can sometimes lead to unexpected creativity or bold action unchecked, impulsiveness tends to leave a trail of unfinished projects, strained relationships, and regrets that show up only after the rush wears off. Picture someone scrolling late at night and suddenly deciding to buy an expensive gadget they don't really need in that moment. The brain lights up with dopamine, the thrill of "I deserve this." But a week later the buyer's remorse creeps in, along with a tight budget. It wasn't a decision made with values or goals in mind. It was a dope detour. Or consider someone in a heated argument. Instead of pausing to cool down or reflect, they lash out, saying things that hit hard then haunt them. A comment made in seconds can fracture trust. Built over years, the impulse doesn't just hurt others. It undermines our own credibility and emotional stability. Impulsiveness also affects commitment. Take someone who jumps from one passion to the next. One week it's photography. Next week it's then a fitness journey that fizzles out. Each endeavor starts with fire, but ends with fatigue, because the person never paused to ask, is this aligned with who I want to become? And sometimes, impulsiveness masquerades as conflict into jobs, partnerships, or big decisions without weighing consequences. It feels like momentum but without direction. It's just motion without meaning. Takeaway: impulsiveness often promises relief or excitement in the now. But real freedom comes from learning to pause, reflect, and choose with intention. Compulsion discipline isn't about restriction. It's about protecting what matters most wisely and slow. They Stumble That Run Fast by William Shakespeare. 6. Stubbornness. The wall that blocks perspective. Stubbornness isn't always about defiance. It's often rooted in fear. The fear of being wrong, of being vulnerable, of losing control. It can show up as the refusal to compromise, an insistence on doing things my way, or a reluctance to adapt, even when evidence or opportunity suggests otherwise. Stubbornness wears the mask of strength, but often hides a fear of change. Or take a person navigating a personal goal. Say learning a new language. They insist on using outdated methods even when newer, more effective tools are available. Their determination is admirable, but their rigidity slows their progress. Stubbornness isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet and to what's comfortable, at the cost of what could work better. Stubbornness pretends to be strength, Sometimes it's quiet, the silent refusal to change, the clenched jaw of passive resistance, or a subtle pattern of avoidance. But real strength lies in flexibility, for instance, when to bend, how to adapt, and where to shift without breaking. Think of bamboo, it sways in the wind, but it doesn't snap. That's resilience. That's power. The ability to listen, learn, and evolve. True strength isn't resilience. It's the ability to bend without breaking. Real strength isn't in being unshakable. It's in knowing when to flow, when to pivot, and how to remain whole while the world around you changes. Number 7. Negativity, the lens that distorts the possible. Negativity isn't just complaining or pessimism. It's a mindset that projects joy, challenge, and growth. It whispers, "Why bother before you try, and I told you so." When things go wrong, it thrives in perfectionism, comparison, and past disappointments, turning setbacks into prophecies. It sees the worst first, assumes the worst outcomes, and expects disappointment as protection. Consider someone offered a chance to lead a new initiative. Instead of seeing the positive impact, they focus on the risks. What if I fail? What if people judge me? They're in a critic. Drowns out, they're in a coach. The opportunity fades not because they weren't ready, but because their outlook never let them believe they could succeed. Negativity also poisons relationships. One partner constantly anticipates letdowns, interprets kindness as manipulation, and assumes the worst in others. Over time, even the strongest bond fractures. Not from betrayal, but from a chronic inability to expect anything good. Negativity, a lingering shadow that distorts our view of life's challenges, can sap our motivation and drown out hope. Negativity isn't realism's resistance in disguise. Optimism doesn't ignore hardship. Optimism isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about acknowledging the storm and believing the sun will break through eventually. It's the quiet courage to keep showing up, even with scraped knees and a heavy heart. It dares to hope anyway, because to be optimistic is not to deny the dark. It's to believe the dawn still matters. Recognizing these traits is the first step toward change. Be turning self-awareness into action. We transform stumbling blocks into stepping stones, paving the way for renewed potential. So, what do we do with these traits? We don't shame them, we meet them with honesty. We notice when they show up. And instead of reacting, we reflect. Because self-sabotage doesn't mean we're broken. It means we're human. And the moment we bring these habits into the light is the moment we start choosing differently. Let today be that moment. The moment you overcome toxic internal traits. Because the keys to unlocking a wealthier, happy, and fulfilling life is in your hands right now. We all wrestle with them at some point. We've taken the first step in claiming the power they had on our soul. This isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming aware. Ultimately, the question is not whether you're capable of change. It's whether you're willing to invest in the version of yourself you haven't fully met yet. And if you are, then the journey begins, not with blame, but with bold self-honesty and a commitment to doing better. You've probably carried some of these patterns for so long they feel like personality now. Like the way you shut down when things get too real, or how you always need to be right, or that little wall you throw up when someone gets too close. But here's the thing, those aren't flaws in your character. They're responses. Learned behaviors. Things you did to survive, to feel safe, to stay in control when life didn't give you many choices. And there's no shame in that. We all build armor. But at some point, the same armor that kept you from breaking starts keeping you from growing. And with awareness comes choice. The choice to shift. To rise. To grow. You've got this. Lastly, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that this video is able to reach more people who need this kind of motivation. I hope to see you again.